back to the She Drives podcast. If you're watching the video, you can probably already tell where we are right now. I haven't even introduced him yet, and he's already fucking laughing away.
It's funny being in this side of the, like, this side of the studio the morning, because I want to sit where you're sitting.
Do you want to introduce yourself then?
I suppose I probably should, yeah. I suppose I'm the first non-female guest in the pod.
Actually, you know what? I'm a wee bit.
Can I bring that up? Can I actually bring that up? I even think, maybe I'm biased because I'm on, well, but I've been thinking about this as well. She drives. I know you're saying that we need an all-female pod and all that there, but it's you who's doing the podcast.
Yes.
So you can do whatever the fuck you want, to be honest.
Well, that's very true. I like you said to me, I can drive.
Yeah, you're driving, but you're
still like
you're scared.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're in control.
I will say though.
I can't be your mood driver.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. Yes.
I have to say I'm a wee bit gutted though, because you said I'll go on the podcast, but I'll wear a wig. Where's the wig?
I did say that, didn't I?
You did.
Yeah.
No wig inside.
Do you know what? I actually felt that became a bad taste because I was originally going to wear it and then I was going to be like trying to put on a high pitched voice. And I was like, this would be funny. And then I started thinking about it and went, actually, no, that's really cringe. But it'd be funny.
Do you have a wig?
No, it's not typically something I keep in my.
And then what about your high pitched voice?
I could do a high pitched voice if you want. Psych you there, I'm not going to go.
No, I'll not do that.
No.
But yes,
it's also really short to do.
Okay,
Vocal cords just don't do that for.
Since he's still not introduced himself.
Oh, I know. I'm Michael Scullin. If you do listen to podcasts or whatever, I do the Limited Slip Difference podcast. Well, one half of it. My co-host Connor is just to stand in the background here.
Yeah, he's behind the camera.
You can't be away from him. Connor, we're going to get him on as well.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get Connor on as well.
But anyway, this isn't about me. This is about...
Actually, I mean, kind of is.
Oh, that's not This is great for my main character syndrome. A podcast all about me. This is Connor McGowan's worst nightmare.
It actually is.
He's traumatized from being with me for the last 2.5 years. Plus the 8.5 to 10 years before. This was we've been best friends. So
you're showing your age.
I'm 31. Like, no, it's fuck.
Oh, that's not so
I'm ready for the engineers.
I thought it was like 4.
I don't know.
And off he goes. No, thank you so much. That's so very last minute.
It was a wee bit last minute, to be fair.
But that's why I appreciate it.
I don't mind.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. That horrible interview question. Tell me a bit about yourself. Where did your love of cars start? Where did it all begin?
Do you want me to light this up? Can I get therapy here? Where did it all start for me? I've kind of always been in the cars. I grew up on a farm. And from new age, like on the PlayStation, it was always car games. Like that was always all I wanted to play was racing games. Everybody else was playing like FIFA or whatever sort of adventure games at the time. All of them was play it. Colin McRae, took over touring cars, etc. And then obviously with the farm and tractors as well. So kind of always in things mechanical. And then Need for Speed Underground too. I'm like, listen, you're having a bit of breath. Fuck.
I don't think I've ever heard those words come out of your mind.
I'm actually kind of nervous here, to be quite honest with you.
No, don't.
This is odd because I'm normally your position.
Yeah.
This is my first time doing it on TV, so
you're doing good so far.
Thank you. I see you can lose 10 years. No, Need for Speed Underground came out in 2003. It was old as fuck. You probably been born back then, right?
Was.
All right. No, at least we feel sleeping together. And like, I'm not gonna lie, that sounds kind of cliched, but that and Need for Speed Underground 2 literally changed my life because it was the first time you could buy a game which was like normal cars, and it was like so you could do a bit of Corsas and Golfs and 206s and all that stuff. And it kind of, before that, racing games was either like touring cars or it was all like Ferraris and Lamborghinis, like no Need for Speed games. And when that happened and it got into the world of modification, I was just like, this is just what I want. And then couple that with like starting to go like Portland Sundays with like Madame Milano whenever I was younger as a main. It's like, and just seeing all the lads cruising, like, again, maybe sounds a bit cringe and a bit sad, but I was just like, I just want to be one of those people. Like, that's all I wanted as a win. And like, you used to see like people driving up the prom and like all the kids. And this was still kind of when Max Byrne maybe would have been kind of time.
You know, I was actually going to ask you about Max Byrne.
Yeah. It's not a thing rude. It's not a thing. I thought you had to be old.
No, I'm not doing it.
But like back then, like, whenever I was away, like that kind of was still the style, and kind of the dope, quote unquote style that's coming in next hadn't really started to be a thing yet. So, like back in those days, it was all about body kits, and I was like, that's just what I want, and just like always just obsessed with cars, and always like as soon as I get a car, I'm going to get done up, and that's what I did, and then I got a Peugeot 207, and
So your first car?
that was my first car. Yeah, I went really fucking overboard with it. So got introduced to car shows. Never, it's the name's so of the name as well. But I went to my first car show with Marfell Cruise Nights. Yeah, I know. But at the time, I thought this was cool. Like, and from that, I was hooked, and it seemed like some of the old veterans now, I suppose, like the likes of Lionel bass guys and all, and they were all like hydraulics and air and John Vegan and all still at the portion lots of days, and I was like, oh, this is what I love to do now. Sometimes I wonder, should I have done that? But yeah, so the next thing, anyway, I was going on my 207, and I ended up on my draft suspension. So 5-door 207 on my draft suspension. Yeah, I get it, really loved it. But it was also kind of still like, we're from like the Marfell area. We talked about this in my podcast too, but it's kind of like, it's still like that sort of felty thing. So I had full pants and all that kind of carrying on too. So that lasted well till the Vosey bought me one day at port. That's what put an end to the 207.
What did they do? What did they do?
Well, they couldn't do it for drugs because that's illegal and past MP. They did ever do me for a missing ring up, full pants, HIDs, no limits. Then the policeman tried to tell me I wasn't sure from the modifications, even though, to be fair, I actually was. Oh, I'm stretched tires, so I'm absolutely done. I took very little really scratched, like really scratched. Like so stressed that I hit a pothole one day, and the tire went into the pothole and we didn't. I'm completely minded, but that didn't go on the way.
That's impressive.
Yeah, that's just back. I think I wouldn't know much of stretching, like crap, or decade stretch back in the day.
I think you do that though, like whenever you first get your car, like,
Oh yeah,
you just don't care. You just want to do absolutely everything and make it look good.
I think I'm even thinking about this now because even with Cheryl, like I'm actually putting in helper springs now to like make so whenever if I do get stopped, it sounds pretty. No, I can't harsh going with this like before. I'm getting pulled over by the cops and then like taking these energies because it's loud and obnoxious and all that. And now I'm fitting helper springs just so the spring can be tight when you jack the car up. Whereas when I was younger, I didn't give a flying fit. I was like, you jack the car up and the springs fell out, and you're like, yes. Like this was like kind of nearly like a bonus. Don't copy me, like don't do that.
No,
Like,
don't
don't
do
do
this.
that. I don't condone that behavior, but like 13 years ago, it was an infant for real life. So, like, yeah, my photo's coming, I'll tell you, he was the exact same. Like, so yeah, and then moved on to Sarah, which has been the bane of my life for the last 10 years.
So you went from the 207 to the Sierra.
I briefly had a Bora. Don't get me wrong, I've had a heap of cars actually in between. Like I had an Altezza to you, which I don't ever talk about ever. I don't think anybody's never heard me mention an Altezza.
No, I've never heard.
I really miss it so much. But I got a Bora, and the whole plan was to be down like the US specs or the US bootlet already ordered to come in from America. I had air suspension ordered, which then got lost in the post. Partially forced lost my bags. I hit someone, robbed it. And then I had the 3-piece splits that was on the 207, and they were going to go in the Bora, and the plan was to create this whole sort of like shoe power of the Bora had R32 interior in it. And it turned out the car was a complete dose and a complete crock of shit. It was clocked, stupid.
What was the all whenever you bought?
It was 149,000 and I got it. It seemed
Like 300,000.
it would have been on. Yeah, it would have been on probably like 240 something. Yeah, I lost a lot. So whenever I bought the car, I done an MOT check, and it came back to like 2010, and I was like, golden, everything's good. And then about 2 months later, we were doing it again, and looked, and in 2008, it was like 140 something thousand miles, and then in 2009, it was like 70 something thousand, and then I was driving it I bought it at 149. So yeah. So okay, maybe not because it's 240,000 and definitely at 201 or something early. So fuck knows when the timing was done. It literally, it broke my heart. Like, and then I was like, so I had the Sierra as well on the plans to try not to show cars at the time. I don't know how the fuck I would have even afforded that back then. Couldn't even afford to do that now. Um, but I had the Sierra on the board at the same time. And then the more I left, the Sierra stayed. She gave me none of all. You thank God we learned. But I now decided that instead change the engine in it. And over the last few years, she's kind of taken on many different forms. So
We'll talk about this here in a wee minute, but I want to know what spec was your Bora? What colour was it?
Raven blue. It was a beautiful looking car. Yeah, and I had, as I said, the US Woodland lined up to come in from America. I had that all sourced. The plan was to put like a US front, like the way they did the rub strips and the side markers and all. If I was to do a Bora again, which I will do another Bora. But if I would do it definitely now. But the plan was to do a full American style Uzi Futurias, which is the way down around the 207 as well. And then the plan was to go like hybrid turbo and
ultimately.
yeah. Oh, 1 minute. So, but it didn't pull either. Neither of my Boras pulled. I've never owned a car that pulls it.
Have you wanted to?
Oh yeah. Back in the day, now it's kind of different. The scene's kind of different. It's all like hard butts. And I'm like, hybrid turbos.
Yeah.
We weren't doing that whenever I was like driving about it. Like nobody was really doing hybrid turbos. Like it was a really big thing now, and we were on the road as a hybrid turbos. So it used to be what used to, and everything's fun at the time. Like it used to be back in the day, Martha Car Park was just everywhere. Like it was just who can have the best sounding noise. Like
that was really good.
I've had nice like this. Oh, I could never do it myself. I never had a car to do it, so I had to give myself something.
Do yourself.
The car wasn't going to do it. I had to like so in between gear changes and stuff. I'll just do it myself. It's really in that life.
No. So this year,
Mhm.
and it's your pride and joy. Is that what you would call it, or
Sometimes
do you call it a few different names?
it's been called many names. It's probably the biggest financial mistake I've ever had. And yet, it's kind of like this really weird relationship where it just kicks the shit out of me all the time. You know, I'm still really attached to it and dealing for it. Here without you got a toxic relationship with your car. Oh my fuck! But honestly, yeah. So started off to your punk and my plan was just to like the same as everybody else, which is like Sierra Positive for positive ratings. And then I drove Jack and Barry's S15, and I planned actually finishing Sierra and then going for an S14. And then I drove Jack and Barry's S15, and I still really liked the look of the Sierra. And I went, I just put like a turbo engine into the Sierra. So then I was thinking about an S engine, and then they were really expensive. And then I came across this turbo engine, and I was like, oh, did I do that? And sure, it's a cheap engine, and it shouldn't take that much time or really effort to put it together. Because, you know, I've just done a welding course, and I can weld. And,
Yeah, you can do everything.
yeah. You ever hear of a thing called the Dunning-Kruger effect? A little bit of knowledge is a very dangerous thing.
Okay.
So basically, it's a curve. It's not so good against the garnish people can see. Basically, it's like you know nothing. So it's confidence along the top and knowledge along the bottom. So when you gain a little bit of knowledge, suddenly you become really confident. And then all of a sudden you go, oh fuck, I actually know him. And then your confidence drops. And over time, as your knowledge increases, your confidence. Like, I wouldn't say I'm as confident now as I was in 2018 when I genuinely thought I could do all this. I thought, easy. The hard bit is getting the engine in the car. Whether the easy bit's getting the engine in the car. Everything else around it's the fucking hard bit. Honestly, it could happen.
So did you buy the Sierra Standard?
Well, it was on coilovers and like called for front bumper. Maybe you'd hit it. But yeah, 2-liter yeah, manual. But what I thought was a fairly clean car. One side, the arch was starting to rot. So I was like, nah, it's not great. And then I done about rally reversed. And I was running on the north side of Uzi Futurias playing really way. And I had like kind of rolled the arches a bit. And then I dropped. We were waiting reversing onto like Stony Lane. Like went into like a pothole. And the wheel went up into the arch. And it like burst the arch a little bit. And it was just fairly shallow. It was full of thunder. Then I ended up running about for a while. For like this really stupid looking wrap over both rear quarters. And I was like, oh yeah, it's because it's a shoe car. It's just because I couldn't afford free spray it. I literally had no money left. At the Bora had fucking just reading.
Is that car still wrapped?
Yeah.
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 Is that a different map or is it the same?
So the car was no, so okay, so it was painted, and then obviously you could keep painted, or two, and I had like this black chain map wrap, just had little stickers over it, and I ripped the whole thing off, and then the car came away, like for years, just sort of in this kind of like semi-painted shape.
So what color did you get? And
My car was actually a portal red, which is actually a color you only get in like a base spec, like Sierra. So if I ever tried to clean my car with Ellsworth, like people real nervous would just go, oh, it's not, because it's only a color you get in like real poverty spec cars. I like the color. I got it wrapped because I couldn't afford to paint it. The plan was originally supposed to be get all done and you get painted. And then my engine blew in the dyno, and that was 3,683 quid in the green. So that was basically my paint job. I had all this, like, some of the money sitting this in to do the whole thing, and I didn't really get through half of what I planned on doing because I just kept working hard every day. Yeah, as I said, it's a toxic relationship like that. It's like, I'm like, I can fix you. And the car's like, no, I'm not, I'm too damaged. That's like, no, but I can fix you. And it's like, yeah.
I've never heard someone say that about their relationship on car, but I totally get it.
But I know so many people that would leave that.
Yeah.
Like, I could name quite a few people, even drifters as well. Like, there's people out there who would not have a bad luck. They just didn't stop because ultimately, I think we all believe, especially if it's something we're passionate about, that we will make it work. And I think they'll always try and chase it. You never want to give up. And that's kind of like, I know it's really motivational, like, but it is one of the things where like, that's kind of like, look, we've had another setback, but fuck it, we'll get through and get it fixed. I think it also is called addiction.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'd say that.
Probably another way of looking at it. So
It's just like relationship advice and car advice all in one. I have to say though, I do like your Sierra. It's a very nice example.
Thank you.
Something you've done with it that I think is very, very different, and I think quite cool skill spec as well.
Okay.
Is the underglow.
Yeah.
That's freaking so cool.
Yeah. That's like, that's actually coming back. A lot of people are maybe on the go. How can I say it? Underglow. Neons, we'll call it, even though you're not actually neons anymore. If you look at them shade, the Lexus Mercedes in the room, likes of Home Duffy, and there's the wee blue BM that remember is packed up with me. He has he went and bought like the proper power tuned kit, like the practically expensive one. So his is a different level of cool. Like mine's is like a sort of DIY clean and cheap kit. Like his is properly all these different colors and you lights up and looks class and really well defined lights, whereas mine is just kind of like it's just about like
It's still cool.
It's about, yeah, I like, I always said I like neons. Like I had neons in the table set, like back in the day when nobody was doing them, and I had like actually really, yeah, I don't know why I ever thought it was a good idea, but I basically cut the wires to my fog lights and ran neons instead.
Love
So I
that.
had no fogs, so I had neons. I was like, this is a dumb thing to do. Like an idiot. It's just always something I really liked. I kind of do like a bit of that old school stuff because it's, for me, it's like a nostalgia thing. I just think it's like, it just kind of reminds me of the stuff I fell in love with back in the day. So like, whenever I was youthful, taking me back to like, 8 years old at the port, like most of the cars back then had underglow. They weren't even lowered. Even the underglow flashing and changing colour. Like back then, that was like, oh my God, like, that's insane. Most kits probably cost them like £400 back then. But now you can buy it like off eBay for like £14. But like, I don't know, it's just something I really like.
I get the way it's like, some people I don't think understand that with the underglow and stuff. It might not be their cup of tea, but that's what you liked,
It's just, well, I can't like it a bit different. Always have been.
And it is difficult to be different these days.
It is. In the last, I don't really care about someone being similar. Okay, so I've said like I like them different, but if someone else is like, no, I can't like that too, then okay, I'm cool. Then just plan everything for both of us in this morning. Like I'm not a gatekeeper by any figure.
But that's the thing that I can just hate. It's like someone thinks that you've copied them and then they get really weird about it. I'm like, I'm not copying you.
I've never understood this. One of two things. And I know a lot of people, I go, I wouldn't tell anybody what I've done because like I put all the hard work into figuring this out. And I'm sitting going, Well, whenever you were asking people the questions, surely you would have felt it.
Exactly.
So,
Like, you need to start somewhere.
yeah, exactly. So I know plenty of people who like I'm like, you didn't sit and fucking listen and draw fucking stuff in your own. Like, you went on the forums and chat stuff and looked up stuff and went on Facebook and searched all the pages, like, and you're glad it will help you. So like,
I would take that. If someone's asking me what I've done in my car, that's such a compliment.
yeah, exactly. But I look at it one of two ways. There's people who go, what have you done? What are your specs? There are the people, and take the likes of Dennis Hummel from the Netherlands back in the day who had a bike, Ford Sierra. And like, we were friends. Like, whenever I was actually working in Holland, I was out helping him work on his car. Like, it was quite cool actually. Because of like Instagram friendship.
Mm-hmm.
But like, we were kind of like two almost competing cars because his was like this sort of still sort of Euro spec and that it was like BBS's, it was really clean and subtle. And then mine's is just a absolute like match it ADHD job. But like the two cars, like we were constantly getting tagged in like which is better, and up to his car and my car. And sometimes he was winning on the polls, or sometimes I was winning the polls, and the pair of us just didn't give a fuck. We just thought this was hilarious. But I would have happily told him my specs. Like, happily helped him out with mine because I seen his car and I was like, that's so cool. I want him to build the best thing he can. I had to go to him for phase 2 things. So, you know, there was that. So the other thing is there's people who will ask you their specs, and because they're amazing, they'll go, oh fuck, that's really tough. I'm not doing that. Or you get people who go, yeah, I'm going to do this without like love as well. And then people are going to do what they want to do. Now, if you don't pass them, but they want to find out. And then, so why would you hide that information from them?
This is it. I mean, it can be a difficult place sometimes. So you talked a wee bit about, you do the candidates.
Yeah.
You obviously do the work on the area yourself.
I can't take all the credit. I really can't. I built the car to the best of my ability. I just wasn't good enough. I couldn't get things to work. So Alan McTown, Alex Garage, outside Japan, Donovan, he then was the man that actually got the marathon won for me. Now, that being said, Ali is the type of guy that'll go, sure, you know, you're trying for a two chat. So Ali did done a phenomenal job, but he's very keen for me to start learning, like, what should be done. So rather than, maybe it's just because he didn't look at it, but Ali would be like, Ali's the type of guy would be really supportive. You could call him at any time and go, Ali, I've got a problem with this. And he would just go, right, check here, because most serious, like the Bible sent on through it, like, check this, check that, and he'd talk you through it. And he'd go, right, you know what you're doing, wait, no, fuck it. You know, he'd be that kind of guy. He would talk you through, again, type of fella, wouldn't hold anything on the job. He would let you know everything, tell you everything just to be, and like, again, people like that, like, are so helpful. And then, like, you know, I'm blessed with, like, I have a really good group of, like, car lads that I'm with, like, I have a really good group of mates. I know we've all got older, lives, so somewhat getting away a wee bit, you know, wedding planning and weans and all coming along. But, like, it used to be back in the day, like, I remember many of the boys on my beard, but I'm stuck. I mean, one case, literally, I had a Granada that I was pulling parts out of, and I was jammed under the car and around John graphic was G from that main pretty much stuck blew this car. He literally dropped everything he was doing, had on Jack McGarry, dropped everything he was doing and came to help me. Connor was the same, he didn't come around and go like clear to himself, Connor be like, wait, I'll see him in it. And like the rest of the lads, Adam, Stevie and all the rest of them, like, you know, Calvin, like whenever I was working, everything, we kind of all learned through each other, like worked through each other. So me and Calvin Kirby, his IS 400, Relaxes was a V8 on it, like we built that. It was me in my shed. I never had a clue what we're doing. I was trying to do the engine swap in my car, we were doing the engine swap for his. Like just stuff like that. Like, you know, and just the knowledge you learn as you go to friends, like, was absolutely phenomenal. Like, you know, so yes, I do a lot of work myself. I try to do bettering myself now if I can. Thankfully, as I say, I'm probably on the phone if I need it, but I'm also blessed with a really group of lads even this day. If you're a bit, they come and help you.
I think I think it's important, the fact that, like you did say, you've had to know yourself.
No.
You know, like sometimes you just don't.
I'm going to try, but you can. And for a long time, I mean, like, no, I can do this. It took me a long time to admit defeat. And that's a hard call as well.
Okay, definitely, yes. I know, like, sometimes things to lose cards, like, it feels like such a competition with some people. And if you say you can't do something, they feel like they've got one over you. But I think it's important, like you said, that you've got that group of people around you that you can trust, and you know, you can go to if you ever need help, and they're not going to judge you because of it. I think that's really important.
Like, well, your mechanic, for instance, is also my mechanic. Killian.
Yeah.
So like Killian also incredibly helpful, like gifted. Killian is also one of those people that will go, she knew that's it. What do you do? Like, again, it's not that they're trying to pan more off. Well, they're all very busy people, but they'll help you. They'll be like, look, you can do this. You know how to do this. Like, just look at this, take it slow, and try this, try that. There's a lot of said for that. I have been in the past where people have said, oh, it's hard, he's pure stupid. That's why probably for a long time I was so keen to try and do bring myself, because I always felt that it's something improved. I don't really feel like that anymore. But it took a lot of years of learning, and it was only really when we started doing the podcast and me and Connor were talking, and people would come up and go, you and Connor knew so much. I was like, there's no fucking thing. Like, we knew nothing. But to some people, because we can talk quite technically, like people think we know a lot, but it comes back to that whole thing of what I talked about earlier, is like a little bit of knowledge and very dangerous thing. Like, we're obviously more knowledgeable now. Your confidence would never be as high as when you thought you knew everything, because we've both been doing that good. So, yeah.
You mentioned the podcast. We'll talk a little bit about it. When did it start? Where did the idea come from?
You know Becky, don't you?
Yeah.
Right. Well, originally it was supposed to be me and her, but we both had incredibly challenging days. Becky is incredibly busy human being, as am I. She lives just a wee bit too far away. And Vicky also was doing her own business at this time. And even here, say if we were trying to be doing it now, definitely would challenge me. She works as a care worker or works with fucking around the son. Like, to be fair, credit and credit you. Like,
I couldn't do it.
She does, but then you've seen what she does, like money and I can show she puts under the belt. Like, she has to work. Like, that's not good. It's not like she's just getting hand to her to sub a player. Like, it's fair to do. But I was originally supposed to be going to me and her, and then it just sort of was really like, well, not really ever get a chance to properly. And so we done one episode together. And I was good at crack, to be fair. She's when I to be around, but even just getting the edit, like, I was just like, it's just not gonna. He'd never been consistent, and then Connor just he's been my best friend for like 10 years, and we were chatting about it, and then it was like I was thinking of getting like this podcast kit, Christmas, because like, do you have like the idea of doing this? And I was like, Connor, I was like, sure, I'll do it. And then Becca got me podcast kit. I actually originally didn't get a podcast kit. She got me this other present, which didn't work.
Oh.
And I was like, I was there between that and the other present. So if the other present had worked, none of us would have happened. So anyway.
So weird.
Yeah. So anyway, I got this sort of like a soundboard and 2 mics, and I think the whole thing cost about maybe £90 or whatever. It wasn't like there was a lot of money put into it, and say, well, do you know what's also a present? So I didn't spend any money on it. So and more or less it was a case of Connor, we're doing this, and Connor was like, oh, we'll see. And it's like, we're doing it. You're the chosen one. So oh yeah, I'm the thorn in the side. Like, so. And to be honest, the support we got even from day one, just, I feel like we tapped into like a real niche market, but it's also not niche, because in this country, like the whole, take Shane, for example, like he, drives like an SB bus, comes from farming background, like it's so like that's that whole like kind of like crowd we're trying to tap into, and a lot of young farmers in this country are also into the cars. That's exactly like me and Connor. Going into it, like both young farmers and cars, and it kind of like ties in with Port Sunday, and it ties in with the drifting, because a lot of the drifters grew up like on farms and stuff and all too. Like, and Glenn McKeever was out drawing cities last week, so like that's kind of like the audience we sort of, but it was natural, like, and I'm not going to say like that's massively incredibly popular podcast, like not, but we pulled until a real niche crowd that just seemed to end up being really, really loyal.
So that's the thing. I think smaller numbers but loyal followers is so much more.
Our follower is absolutely fucking incredible.
But like I'd say you do have a big following.
Maybe. Yeah. I'm the type of person I think I'll probably never be content. That should be one of my toxic traits. Like I always think I could be doing better. Like even if we went to number one podcast in Ireland, which we never will, but if we did, I'd be sitting going, yeah, why are we not on the UK as well? Why are we not on here? Like, why are we not on the world number one car podcast? You know, like I'm that type of person. I know that's saying I'm being a little bit exaggerating there, like, but I never, it's a topic trait where I never really do sit back and think about how far it's come.
See, I kind of be like that as well. I was like, I'm always thinking, okay, but why is this not this?
Yeah.
And, you know, like, why am I not better at this? But no, like I would say, like, you've got a bit of following.
Hey, look, hey,
You've
the followers are the followers, like I said, people. I mean, we made some cracking friends, like through the likes of the podcast. Like, man, when we were Connor Cities there a weeks ago, like one of the listeners, he came up and joined us, and like he just made that so much better. Like, Barry Gaynor came up, and like he's fucking hilarious, and he done that last video with us. He's just he's so funny. Like, and him and Connor are a really good pair. Like, they got on like Alex and Mark, and like them two together was like an animal thing as well. Like, and that's kind of a nice thing as well, because like, you know, and it's maybe gonna cringe because I know he's super in the background there, but like I know I'm the bigger personality. But when you see someone like when you see Connor also coming out like talking to people on, like I love seeing him do well. I love seeing him speaking to people and put himself in their positions. I'd like him to do more. I don't mean that as an insult, as me, and I know like I want to keep seeing him doing that and talking to all these big names and getting opportunities to talk to all these great people. I love seeing that, even for him, because yeah, for me, a lot of the time I just walk up to people and just hope for the best. But you know, if you could get him to do that as well, like it's just
it's some
great.
people
For
don't find
character
it
development.
just as easy. Yeah,
I wouldn't say it's easy either. Like I'm shit. Like I'm terrified of rejection. But there's also this element in me where I go, well, what if I didn't?
yes, you have to take that opportunity.
And there's a lot of that, like at Dubshed, for instance, I was like the Griff Games team are there, and I'm like, don't know if I want to go on top of them or not, if I get too scared, or if they, pardon me, like, what if they laugh at me and all, and I just like, you know what, I will go to speak to them, and like, they were just saying, you know, and I'm like, now I'm so glad I did it, you know, whereas if I didn't, I'd maybe be sitting here going like what if I should have went to go to them, or and that's one thing. Yes, I'm scared of rejection, but I'm also scared of like not trying. And like if they do turn around and like palm you off, and kind of go, okay, I tried.
Yeah, you tried, and that's
Third, like I'll get them along grass, maybe. Yeah.
See, that's the thing. If someone does a dick to you and then you end up doing better than them, you're just like, screw you.
It's not a position you want to be in, like, right?
No, definitely not.
I have to say, there has been nobody really has done that to me.
That's good.
Which, to be fair, like anybody you speak to is incredibly supportive, which is class. And I still sometimes can't believe how nice people are.
I know. I would say the same thing. Like, starting a podcast, it's a scary thing to do. It is so scary. It's like people have to like you for it to do good.
Yeah, and sometimes can be a wee bit. That can be a little frustrating whenever you see people like I'm not a popular person. I'm not popular. And you see people that I suppose are quote unquote popular, and they maybe do podcast episode or they do something, and it's like gets so many views.
Yeah,
and I'm just like,
and you're like in the background pushing yourself.
Yeah, and I'm like I'm a nobody trying to be somebody, and then they somebody. But then I have to look at another side. That person who is a somebody. What years of work?
See, this is the thing, but especially in these days, it's like you're nobody until you're somebody.
Yeah, that's one of the things I've said. Like people, I mean, we've kind of like in different group chats, people have said things like, "Oh, like I didn't care about the number of followers and all that." There, I made a jump and I was like, "I'd sell my soul for more followers," and they're like, "Oh, why do you care?" And I was like, "Look, jokes aside, if you only had like 200 followers on TikTok." And you went up to someone like, let's just take an example. Somebody who want to be like competitions, and you went up to her and just went, yeah, I'd love to get you in the pod. She goes, well, what pod are you? So, you know, if you have a bit of a bigger follow and they look at you and they might go, okay, you're, and here, we're not big. But they kind of might have been, okay, a couple of thousand followers. Okay, you're maybe worth spending time on, you know, exactly. And I know that puts, maybe does that maybe sound like a dick? I don't know. I work fucking hard to get our social medias.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make you sound like a dick at all. I mean, I think it's like it is difficult, but it's all about building it up. And I don't think people realize, like, if you support them. You're building each other up.
I don't think people realize the work that actually goes into it behind the scenes there. And like the amount of like time and money I've spent like chasing around the country, going to these events, showing my face, like, and then you see someone who shows up and they get interviewed, and I may be there doing bits and pieces of media, and then people on with management team, and you're sitting there being like, I'm not really doing nothing but media for you, and like, there's been a couple of instances where I've kind of just been like, right, I'm gonna have to rethink this because how I've come across here, what I've done here the effort hasn't weighed in, but then you take back the king and bone where you didn't for it. It's like, fuck lad, do whatever the fuck you want. Like, you want to stand there, yeah. As long as you have it on you, fuck, stand wherever you want. And me and Connor have full free reign to do whatever the hell we wanted to do. And I'm like, that was just how to go on ahead with it. Do whatever you want. And we ended up doing what I did was the lap 16. And that was because we'd done about the year before and talked about it a lot. The year after we came back and went, look, can we come on the arena video? And it's, yeah, gone ahead. And like, he gave us that opportunity. So I put them videos on YouTube and it done really well. And like, put us a lot of views. And off the back of that, but also kind of like between that and the likes of John and Payne performance that's going on, like, you know, owe a lot to was he gave us a chance when we were still at very, very low in numbers. Like times like that where like people have given you the opportunity and like that's just helped you so much like, as well.
Yeah. So you have, is it 61 episodes?
Yes.
61 episodes.
61, yes.
I still want to talk about your recent one. Oh my God, that was hilarious. It popped up on my Facebook and I was like, that is the best thing I've ever seen.
Do you know what? I'm going to be honest again. I actually felt that video would have done better.
Did it not?
No, not really. Pardon me. TikTok's fucking weird, right?
Oh,
You'll put up something that doesn't. Okay, so the video of us talking with emails with you.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, I don't think that went.
It went mental. The one like us. So all we were doing was you learned. So you talked about the emails in your own podcast, and when he asked you about it, you know, it's like, you know what? This will be that clickbait. I'll use this for ours. And like literally,
straight up.
Whereas like, you know, and there was no effort put into that at all. It was because it was a match full of conversation. And like I cut one or two scenes and it didn't take long to create that video through the roof. It's been ages editing that one for us at the stage. And I was like, do you know what? If there's a video that defines our podcast, this is it. Put it on TikTok being like, this is it. I could feel it. And it just didn't do as well as I expected it.
That's sad.
I thought
But
that too.
like it was good.
Do you know what? I've watched it so many times, and I know what sounds really big-headed. I've watched it so many times myself, so I fucking love it. It's a really, really good video. Like,
It is.
in my
It is. Like from Connor's point of view, I know I commented on it. I was like, it literally looks like he's going in the bathroom or something like a Bear Grylls.
From Connor was, I'm fucking minging that. I'm so messy and that. And I'm like, that's part of the look.
Yeah.
Like that helps it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you are grubby. He's been on stage for 2 days. Like, you know, I don't know, your boys listening to this going, there's this, 2 days, I've been on 2 fucking months. And like, you know, like we were at it, you know, it was late night the night before, we were just straight up calling and then they come out of the multi party and jump in the tractor. You know, of course you know, but like, we're not getting fucking dulled up to the about it. It's like, this is raw. This is who we are.
That is what it is.
We were sweaty, we were minging, we were grubbing, we were dirty. And it was like, but we're both sitting in tractors and we're talking shape. It was like the whole, it's just what it was.
No, it was class. Like, I loved it.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
It was balls to get it because me and Connor were talking on it's called it 2-way radios. And there's like a bit of a kind of echo in some of the videos. Like I was in there and out and like talks and stuff. But if you actually listen to the podcast, even when I try my best, like there's bits where the echo just comes on and it's really like so. Then I'm also like hard on myself, like I'm a critical, so like I put it down a lot of shit. And it probably isn't that bad, but I would be like, I would always edit a video and be like, well, what if someone that hated the foot was to listen to us? And this was their first impression they got. Like the video with Jason Schlick, for example, I had to redo my own mic.
Yeah.
Because my mic didn't work.
But see, that's the thing. Like sometimes it just doesn't work and it's not your fault.
Yeah.
Like I've had that happen a few times with me and I'm like,
oh yeah. Episode 3, wasn't it?
God, don't mention that. It messed up the last one as well for me.
What?
Mm-hmm. I did. But you couldn't tell, so my editing skills must have...
Sure, you done all right then.
Yeah, my editing skills must have been too bad at that time.
That was a very good, Mullin's a very good person to have on. I have to say.
Molly was, whenever I was thinking about doing this, Molly was
Oh, she would have been, absolutely.
one of the very first people that I was.
She'd be on your hit list. She'd have been.
Kiera and Molly both were on my hit list straight away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a few other names I've introduced to, a couple of ones as well. Like,
Yeah.
would still be really, really good.
I have a list of people that I need to get on, but you see, I actually right now I don't have any recorded podcasts.
You can use YouTube, yeah. Get yourself on.
So I so believe she drives.
Yeah, get yourself on. You can use here. But that's seriously,
These are freaking comfy seats as well. They're really comfy seats.
You know, like, this is how inflation changes. Whenever I got them seats, Sierra's ones were fun. They weren't big money at all. So, like, these seats are all really, really cheap. Like, for me to buy. If you wanted to buy this now, they're mega expensive. And that's not me flexing. I have them because I have them. And like, they were in my car. And then I put in the Evo seats again. And they were here. And I was like, yeah, Evo 7 seats. And they were kind of lying there. And like, there's nothing worse than seats line up.
Yeah.
They get in the bottom, actually throw them and at it and put them in like a proper heat environment. I was like, it's nearly better for us to use them and sit on them and get heat into them and all that. So the better be here. And I have them framed about the seats just bolt on. It's not like they're welded up. So I could literally take them off that and put that back in the car if I really wanted to. I'm probably going to have to from the end. Back the string. So not fit into a bucket seat.
Are you taking this year?
Oh,
Unreal.
yeah. Yeah, that's a bit of fit on it.
Awesome. Love that.
Fred doesn't break. She has booked backup wedding car, just in case.
What's the backup?
Probably like Jaguar or something like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know that sort of stuff. I know I'm massively in cars, but once you go back 20 past 1870 and 1860, I wouldn't really have much into like.
What that is. They'll love to see it.
I'd be inclined to agree there. And I don't mean to offend anybody if that's if they're into that sort of stuff. It's not my bad day, I suppose. The same way I couldn't tell you any issue about that. I wouldn't know that for a new Lamborghini and you could get it.
No, they're difficult. Like everything is just looks the same.
If someone was saying to me, I'm not even alright, what an Enzo? Which is from like 25 years ago or whatever. Like, you know, jokes aside, I couldn't tell you the new Ferraris or Lamborghini. The last one. There's an event tomorrow, and then maybe there's something after. I have no idea.
I don't know. I know a hurricane.
Oh, I saw like a hurricane, wasn't there?
There's an event tomorrow.
The yours is the big G.
Yeah, yours is the G.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, I wouldn't, none of that stuff appeals to me. Like, I would rather watch a battered Esther King.
Give you all your outers back.
Yeah, or get one of the Jap stuff, you know, Japanese stuff.
Well, which do you fair? I'm going to go Jap for myself.
What do you mean? Like give me. Like, I'm going to say a Feldy Border or an Esther Payne. Obviously, I'm going to say an Esther Payne, but there's obviously a special place in my heart for original.
JDN German.
Oh, JDN.
Okay. Yeah.
But only because I like drifting. You can't drift. Like, but that being said, the miles I'm popping in favorite cars is only what? The S1. That is like literally Sudan McNara. The D actually built a drift car version, and it's insane, and it uses the original 5-cylinder turbo engine. It's fucking unbelievable. But like, if it was just to me, would I prefer Japanese to German? It's going Japanese cars. But would I prefer old Fords to Japanese, like old Fords? So like a Sierra or like Mark Tesla, or even if we're not the last row stuff. I just love old Fords. So probably old Fords at the top, but the rest of it.
Yes, top. And obviously we talked a wee bit about like your funding and stuff. I don't know anything about tractors. Not really my forte.
You're from Desert Martin.
I know, but it's
You're still a culture.
It's not kind of. I hate.
Don't say you're a tiny. You're from fucking.
No, I wouldn't call myself a tiny, but I don't know anything about like tractors or anything. I'm surrounded by fields, but all I know is I don't really like farms.
You don't like farms.
I'm terrified of cows.
Cows are big.
No, I'm terrified of them.
Well, I'll explain about the cows once we get past the tractor because then the conversation will take a turn anyway. So
yes,
you're asking about the tractor.
Yeah, you turbocharge your tractor.
Yeah, Adam Lucian was going to start doing a lot of YouTube. Before realizing that I don't see wonders a bit easier. Because wonder not as much happens. So you get this false sense of security that you've always thought that you don't have. The street seat is not on, the barn is not the same level. So wouldn't say you're stuck for things to do, yeah, I'm not, but I had definitely a bit more free time to do a few things over Christmas. So I was putting a turbo on my Fiat 110 tractor, and I decided I would do it for YouTube, doing basically the whole fittings you need, all the things you need. That actually went down very, very well, to be fair. I would love to do more videos. I remember I had planned, like, I have videos on my phone of the time I did the drift day for Bellows. I have videos on the phone of doing the surrey tanker, and fixing the looter and all that. I don't have time sitting down there. For me,
It's a lot. Yeah, it definitely is.
for me, it's learn even sitting at them or even getting something done.
Mm-hmm.
And truthfully, what makes more sense for me to do, because the podcast really takes up time. So what makes more sense for me to do is probably going out and actually get shit done. Yeah.
As much as it is for fun, like it does take up a lot of time.
Well, the other way I look at it is if I was doing YouTube all the time, I wouldn't make content. Because I would have nothing to do. It was a long time you spent on YouTube.
And that's very true. That's
So,
all I look at, yeah.
And I've kind of just learned that I can just talk about it in the podcast. Won't get the same views, won't get the same amount of attention probably. So videos are kind of like nearly a get rich quick scheme compared to podcasts. Podcasts are a lot slower build.
Yeah.
But the videos, look, it was fun. I enjoyed doing it. I'd love to do more. But just the podcast comes first.
Yeah.
But tractors, yeah, like as I say, look, this is a dairy farm. My father was living, and sort of then whenever I went to school, and then kind of I was very young whenever he passed away, so I didn't really have a say if taking anything over. And I've done it for a long time, and I went, but I suppose got an education and all, and then when I started working, I was doing a lot of travel, and so if I worked in quarries, and it was, I said as long as their own, but it was well enough travel to be fair. Just really wouldn't have suited to build in the farm. Now I'm only really start again. I can say I'd love to have 30 acres, but then in 30, that hasn't happened. I don't regret that. So for my career, professional choice, do what I did was definitely a better option. I'm now just going to be 2-3 years behind in the goal. And that's what it is to say, like, those experiences that I got, I'd carry through for the rest of my life. Yeah, like, I'll be the local farming and his time goes on. I'll always have the cars. I'll always love to be in the cars. But that's whole craft of sitting and fitting in the car on the evening, that's just, those days were going, like, those days are really, like, I can't get a vibe all this year because it's so long, but like any new projects, like I've got for work projects that I really would like to get on here, but wedding coming up, and after that, for those what happens, or remains on the way, you know, so.
This is it. Then you'll get down to do it all for you.
Well, that's the long term plan, like, but it's long for everything manually. It's fucking turned to rust. What's the like, yeah, surely it's time as you get older, and I can't think of these things as well. And, you know, even with podcasts and all, you know, I can get content for doing stuff for cars, or I can do the farm. Still have to find a way and make a podcast. So a few tough decisions kind of come up in the future. I've always been doing good, but
well, you don't need to make them just yet.
No, thankfully, a couple of years of actually about to do.
Exactly. So about the podcast, what's next for it? Where's it going?
I don't really know. A personal goal for me, well, not just for me and probably speaking on his behalf, would be to get on to, I know I'm probably about podcasting country here, like, but I would love, jokes aside, I'd love to get on to like the two families, or I would love to get on to even like maybe not me own, but I'd love to get invited to maybe like a TV show or a YouTube channel or something, even with some of the bigger names, and kind of get a cameo and that sort of stuff. Not obviously a level of Clarkson's farm, but like, you know,
in a perfect world.
But even like, you know, like collaborating on like the drift games, just being high profile enough for them to even say it. It's kind of the same way they would bring like a main sheet and juice box and stuff like that on. And, you know, a long time ago I would have said like, oh, farm fix and grassman, them two have now become a reality, which is phenomenal. Like the first year me and Connor came offered to help on the pole of Farmflex, and the second year me and Connor picked all the tractors and done all that sort of things. And if it worked out, like, you know, John had some John would record us in heartbeat, you know, and I don't mean that talking way, it's just he would, because it would be good enough content for him in that respect. But just just having like going and doing that. It seemed like that investment with happily what was I getting, which is a position you never would have been in if it was from a podcast. So you have to be thankful. But yeah, it'd just be a case of keeping going and getting more higher profile guests on as time goes on, just building up a name. But at the same time, it's not just high profile people, yes, that have a really good story. You can invite, like, we'll have people coming on here who just have a really good, funny background. You take, for instance, Connor Kelly, so we didn't meet the DJ music. Connor, one of my best friends, and Connor's best friends. He's not a big social media person. He's virus.
Yeah.
It's just made for great conversation, and that was end up being one of our better podcasts. So, just we.
That's the thing. Like, just because someone has a platform doesn't actually necessarily mean there's not someone out there that has the same amount of story. It just doesn't get the same.
There are people like I'd say like you probably could get, but it wouldn't. Or I wouldn't be organic.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think Scotty Farnell was a perfect example of that. You have a really big guest come on who's really famous, but the podcast nearly wasn't big enough for him.
Yeah.
So it nearly wasn't. It didn't, like, if we maybe had more followers, maybe the followers we have now, and had each one, it may have been different. It may have been different for our profile. You could rush this game and end up trying to be too quickly. It's not organic. I know we've talked about that as well. Like you've said, there's people you would love to get on, but
and
the time is not right.
See, that's the thing. Like the people that I want to get on have agreed, but I'm just waiting because I want to make it worthwhile for them as
Absolutely.
well.
I completely agree. So like the likes of, not just call it as it is, like I don't know if Dave Egan will come on my podcast. Dave Egan would probably be, if you'd ask me my top 3 guests, Dave Egan alone. He's probably my biggest idol, truthfully. But would I want to bring them on now? I don't think so. I don't think we have enough in common.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather want to be on maybe a bigger stage, and this is what I'm saying about like the organic growth. If you went from like say home with them and maybe going around your draft matches with them, or even just happen to be in the studio or something for the crack with them, and you kind of had that. And do you remember the time we done that? And there's more conversation rather than just asking questions and going, "Wow, like you're really famous," and
I'm
starstruck, and then tripping over yourself.
Yeah.
Trying to ask questions and trying to be cool.
Yeah, it's like you have to build up.
But then there's like Aaron from that regard. She came on episode 53, and that was I think one of my favorite other podcasts. And Aaron's a massive following. But Aaron, I was interviewing Jack Wilson, and Aaron just went, "Oh, that as well." Like Aaron as well was. He is a big following on his Instagram, and he just like, fuck it, I'll add him to the crack.
Yeah.
And he just wanted to be there, which was class. But in my head, I was also like, I don't know if we're ready for Aaron. I don't know if we're big enough for Aaron. But then he wanted to come on. That's the crap.
But it's nice to know that, while you're thinking about them, they're like, "No, come on, I'll do it anyway."
Yeah.
It's nice to know that there are people still like that. And, some people do just want to do it for the crap.
And if you met Aaron from Redford Orange, you'd realize he's one of the nicest people ever on this planet. He's an absolute fucking legend. To be honest, I've said, like, Aaron's one of those people who but yeah, we'll definitely get it done. We'll definitely get it, and we'll get it done. But as I said, he just was like, fuck it, we'll do it. So, I mean, if, for instance, not that's ever going to happen, but if I said, or something, like, yeah, we're in there, can we come down and do a podcast? So obviously, you're not going to say no.
No.
But like,
we'll find the time.
Yeah, sure. The likelihood of that happening is next to zero. Like, but
never say never.
Well, you wouldn't want myself and change at the same time. She didn't work to get you either. But yeah, just make yourself. I think it should all be organic, and I would rather see a growth where you can nearly look at how we've kind of went up over time and develop a really solid fan base of genuine loyal listeners. Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for that. People that will have your back and like watch every episode of people that, and like I like to try and kind of make a mega connection. It's just fucking cringe, like, but
no, but it's true. Like, do you need to do these things?
Connor had the idea to set up the community.
That was a good idea.
Yeah, like
He's shrugging his shoulders.
Like Connor had the idea to set up the community originally. Connor was like, hey, I am like ring worst anyway, Connor will message me and go, we should do this. And I'll go, no, 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 not a good idea. Not, we'll not do it. Not, because what if it didn't work? No, no, I don't think we should do that. And then the next thing, I'll come around 2 days later and go, do you know, Connor, that was a good idea. He goes, I know. Sure, told you that 2 days ago. And you're like, yeah. But the community was a great idea. And I would like, even like, like I've Snapchat streaks and stuff with some listeners, like, and it's just a nice way of kind of trying to stay.
Yeah, it's like staying in contact, but
I kind of like remembering those who followed you at the start.
Yeah.
So like, there's a kind of a list, like even the first ones who got merch, like, you know, I would still call them Snapchat and stuff, and it's very much a thing of, I'd never hold down to think, oh, you know, you went and done it twice ahead and maybe doesn't talk to us anymore. They probably wouldn't think that anyway, but I live in my head, I would just be scared of anyone that was thinking that I think I'm better than them. Like I wouldn't sleep at night. Someone genuinely thought, like, oh no, he thinks he's too good for us now. I genuinely took me realize it. And we got something to say about it.
No, I think it's so nice. So like our entire focus, you've just been speaking so nicely and so kindly about every single person that you've met, and I think that goes a really whole way.
Yeah, no, like, not good like coming on here and calling out really a come to the day. Like, I said, that's what just
Go for it.
yes. Like, what would I like? Well, like, I wouldn't get anything out of that. No, there's nothing. I get nothing again. Nothing on it. I'm going to be a celebrity. You know, not only I was slamming someone's listening for it. Slammer, you know, like, yeah, but like, there is a lot to thankful for, like, you know, in terms of like when people are nice to you, it's just, it's classic. You know, it's a great feeling when someone walks up to you and goes, like, guys, that's me there without well in the way. Like, you do occasionally get people who say, lads, if I'm living here in the tractor, sure, yeah, like, this has happened a couple of times. I've been like, I'm out here in the tractor, and like, there's a long round day, I came to my home and chat me use boys, or even just like listening to you, you know, just makes me feel like that closer to home.
That's what you do it for. Yeah.
Of
course.
And you think I'm sitting there going like, Jesus, I didn't know that sort of my thought comes to you. And that's why I even made a beautiful longer podcast, because it's a conversation a lot of our listeners would be elders and lorry drivers and boys be drawing silage and stuff like that there. And it is long real days on your own. Yeah. And it is, like, I mean, about the done on your drive, but we've done a wee bit of welding and jackboard and all that there. It can be a very dangerous day when you're sitting down slowly for a whole day in the morning and you can go in one direction.
I'd say so. I think it's like, you know, podcast is all, like, if it's fun and everything, that like deep down, it means something to you.
Oh, right. And if you're sitting like the way we're doing it, and I find like, I get this like even reload podcast and even yourself now to be honest, like you would say something. Occasionally I find you saying something, I'm like, like you're wrong. But it's like no sound reaction. It's nearly like having a conversation. It's nearly like, and people would say this to me, and I feel like it's a bit our local podcast too, is like there's something nice whenever you feel like we're not just listening, but you're
a part of it.
Yeah. There's a lot to be said for that, and you find yourself nearly agreeing with people along going, or occasionally going, not, you're wrong, you're not, you're wrong. But like, it takes that personal connection. You can't do that. Yeah. And that's something like I feel like me, Connor, and pride ourselves that we do have. I've never ever want to lose it. Yeah. I'd rather have that than the lanes. I'm seeing fortunate as well as it mean at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. You know? I know, like, obviously we talked about where you want the podcast to go and all. I know we've got some merch coming out as well.
Yeah, that's been a long time going. Beforehand we were doing like a lot of pre-sales and stuff. I was just getting things, and you always have to pay things designed and all like that there, you know, and we just wanted to be able to get everything right. And doing the pre-sales just not hassle for me, you know, because you're running away like trying to get everybody together and then you run with just some money off people and stuff like that there. Even when we put it online and came to have the even people would still be calling saying, oh, I ordered merch off you ages ago or it hasn't arrived yet, and you're like, because it's a pre-sale, like a pre-order, you know. Yeah. So we've teamed up with a group called Pleasure Antics. Seamus Monaghan's heading that up, and he's working along like St. Paul and Geddes and stuff. So kind of cool that we're kind of involved in them, and they do merch for all the podcasts. Like kind of all the comedy podcasts. So there's all the comedy podcasts, and then us, which is grand. So you go on our joke anyway. And so like there's opportunities for like that, which we're not taking advantage of at the minute because I'll be honest, this year just for everything else going on in the wedding and all that, we didn't really have any money.
Yeah.
I know I sound like a mention about honey all the time. It's just probably thing. So
You've got to be careful.
you know, if I drop like £5,000 merch here and I'm sitting with £5,000 shelf and there's stuff needs to pay for it. Anyway, doesn't really.
No.
That's not going to go down to go back. Like, so, yeah. But like, next year, I think that's one of the other things I'll be wanting to do more is push the merch. I haven't pushed. Like, I mean, I've got banners here and all too. And
yeah, so banners.
what I should be doing is going to get on Instagram and Snapchat every day and going, I've got these on for sale or put them all. And it's not there. They're not just all it's not that fun. Yeah. Just regard quotes and content.
That's the main thing. Well, I'm sure it'll not be the last time we'll be seeing each other.
I mean, miss that shit.
No, I still have to get Connor in for his.
You've done 2 podcasts with us, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly. But I'll not be the last one.
I'm sure we'll do a third one. I'm going to have to drag you in soon enough.
Exactly.
So,
but just to the end, what's the LSD socials?
So you can follow us on absolutely everything. Like I said, if you want to follow me personally, but I wouldn't really recommend it. It's not that exciting. I try to do everything through the podcast now. Not that that's exciting either, but it's at Michael Scullin _ but yeah, I just want to say like, I'm absolutely buzzed to have a second podcast like came up on my doorstep or / on our doorstep. And I said this to you at the start. And I do think you've so much potential doing what you do. And it's nice to see someone coming in through to get the lady side of things. And I feel like we haven't talked about that enough on this podcast, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like the lady side of things, you've kind of just asked me all about me, which is grand because my main character syndrome loves it. But I feel like they're definitely it's great to see like super yourself coming in and like focusing more on the ladies, and I really would like to see you get involved more with the draft of we've got Molly and Kieran. There's a few other things we've talked about behind the scenes. And any breaks that are allying and all, Kieran, not about that. I think it's absolutely class to see women getting involved in motorsport, even getting involved with like you're saying, like engineering and all that, Like I love seeing all that. I love hearing like stories of like, me girl says, what do you do? Oh, I'm going to have to be a welder. I'm like, that's like deadly. Like
something different.
Be the best you can be. Hey, if you study such, if you want to give your hair, whatever, like that. And I never understood that until Kira actually said that on your podcast when she like, people say they want me doing makeup and all, but it's because I feel it. And I never thought of that.
Yeah, you got to do it for yourself.
But I never thought of that. Then, like, obviously, my mom was giving that to me about beer, and I was like, yeah, about beer, she can make up for that.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, so.
We've all got our own things.
Yeah, but, like, I just, like, I would really love to see, like, I've, like, sort of trying to help a wee thing behind the scenes, to try and get, like, because I like seeing, I think you're on a really good thing with this podcast, to be honest. I think the fact that you are interviewing all of us, be it man, woman, whoever, it's really strong. Where a woman would go, well, fuck, she's doing that. She's doing the podcast. She's interviewing such and such. She's talking about cars. She's asking them questions about this. Like, that's class. Like, I really like cars, and hopefully it'll inspire like maybe like 13, 14-year-old big girls to do the same. I know.
Yeah, and that's what it's about. And I think it's important for me. Obviously, I want to get as many females on as possible, but
of course, absolutely.
At the same time, like getting like men on that support it as well, because I think it's important to see it from that point of view that like not all of them are bad.
Well, like for instance, you take like the drifting night again, like Stephen Hoffley was against that Adrian Wheat, like, and like she'd be a class case for you. I also would love to get her on as well. Adrian, she's like the first female driver in Ireland to run pro. So like she'd be incredible to have along with the fruit with it. And again, I would love to have her on, but she's just look after, and then that's fantastic. Yeah. But like the likes of her coming through, and then you've got the likes of Monica coming through, and then who else? Abigail. You know, all those people coming through. What is obvious? Because now the energy sister today. I think it was you know, all those people coming through. Like you won't see that. And yeah, look, I just, as I say, my mom makes my heart burn at work. But if I had a wee year, like when she said she would be in cars or something, my mom would be my heart happier. Like if she was like, die, like I would love to lower my car. I'd just go, yes. You go, girl. I will support you and whatever, but I can. I'm like, oh, and orange one for my heart.
So I know, obviously, you know, my brother.
Oh, yeah.
Rob.
The guys are working with me for 6 years.
Now, we sent me a video today of in my land, Georgia, working to Port, and my mum and dad got them like this, like a ride on Mercedes, and my dad had the towel and like was cleaning the car, and Rob was like getting ready for show and shine.
It's unreal. It's unreal.
You gotta stop them young.
Yeah. I think based on the online thing as well, I think you're doing a lot. Credit to yourself as well for everything you're doing.
Thank you.
With that as well, like to support Robert's Ball.
As
been unbelievable. It's all over LinkedIn, it's all over Facebook, it's all over the amount of support he has from. I see all my ex-colleagues sharing stuff. That's a bad thing. Just because they don't work for CBE anymore. But like I see all my old colleagues all sharing stuff and all. Again, like the amount of things you've done and the amount of things everybody's doing, it's absolutely phenomenal as well.
I know it's been insane. I mean, obviously I did the race for life yesterday as well. My legs killing me. Which is so sore. But yeah, it's been, the support's been insane, and I've still got a lot of fundraising ideas up my sleeve. So
well, I was going to say I'll take every bit of it. That's not really anything to say, but it's something that's a fact of my life too, unfortunately. It's not a nice thing, but look, fair play if you get the support to do as well. I'm kind of run off track from my cards here, but I thought that maybe needed to be said as well. If man asked to anything, I thought maybe going to bring it up on here, so I can hear what you're doing too. But do you want to bring this to a close? Are you stuck listening to me yet? Or?
That's a very, very sad thing to close on, but yeah, we'll bring it to a close. Well, Michael, thank you very much for being on the She Guys podcast.
No problem. I'm there. Like you said, look, see you in a minute.